Welcome, gamers, to this week's episode of Last Call Gaming. We're on episode number 104. My name is Craig Prowse, and making his triumphant return to the table is Andrew Montemayor.
Thank you, and I want to say a personal thank you to everyone who wished me well and better wishes and stuff like that. Like, that really helped, kind of made me really feel good and really want to come back to do this. So I'm actually pretty hyped for today. I feel like I'm a little over angsty. So
I think three episodes as long as I think, because there'll be times where like we miss an episode a week, maybe two. I think 3 might be the longest stretch though.
Yeah, I think we've only ever missed like one, or someone's out for one or something like that, but never like that long and for a shitty reason.
Yeah,
so.
but now you're back, you're feeling good, your health's returning to you?
Besides my weak lungs, I feel perfect, I feel great. I kind of can't taste some things, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, because Andrew, we know, to test his palate, he did bring over the drink of the week, and that is the Big Wave Golden Ale. We've drank this on the show plenty of times. We love it here. Again, I'm using Beer Advocate to kind of show off the score. They give it an 81. This is a blonde ale American at a 4.4% alcohol, and it is brewed from the Kona Brewing Company in Hawaii, in the United States. I'm tasting it. It tastes just as swell as it always does to me. But Andrew, you're saying it's just kind of just going down the gullet?
Yeah, like that's why I wanted to get it. It's the first beer that I've actually had since I've been sick. So I'm like, okay, I want to get something that I know to have been good, and then maybe kind of work my way from there. Because I've been trying out all kinds of things that I know that I loved before, and now there's some that kind of taste like shit. And this, I mean, it doesn't taste bad. I can kind of taste that, like, sweet sensation. I can tell that I'm drinking something that's maybe, like, a little sweeter, like, that makes it that blonde ale, but I can't actually taste the flavor.
Oh, that's a bummer. But all returning good times. So, guys, as we move on, before we get into...
Hey, after 5 or 6, they all taste like water, huh?
Yeah, you know what? That's what my dad used to say. So before we get any further, guys, take a minute to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and do us a favor and leave a comment. If you guys are looking to follow us on any of the social medias, hit our Linktree link. That'll take you to all the platforms like Facebook and Instagram. And if you guys can, do us a favor and head over to Anchor, which is now the host of our audio-only version of the podcast, and that as well can take you to iTunes or Spotify, wherever you guys want to listen to it. And if you're interested in it, you can pitch in as low as 99 cents a month to help the show grow. We've gotten some subscribers, so we're gonna start rolling in the cheddar soon.
For just 99 cents a month, you too can feed Mandrew beers.
So guys, before we move into our stories, we like to do What Are You Up To? That's the point where we kind of catch up with each other on what we've been playing during the week, what we've been watching, if we've got any kind of trips or anything cool that may have happened. So Andrew, since you haven't been here in a while, why don't you tell me what you're up to?
Well, besides dying and coming back to life, like the Phoenix from the terrible Harry Potter movies, while I was sick, I didn't really watch too much. I kind of watched like a lot of random old things. I just kind of couldn't really handle too much stuff. But what I did actually manage to get my way through was the newest season of Ink Master, number 13. And I thought it was pretty cool what they did with the turf wars. I actually really didn't like it at first. So pretty much they have like the East versus West, the Midwest and the South and stuff like that kind of break down the United States, and they're on different teams, and what they do is they compete together for a challenge, and then they choose like another team to work with as far as judging someone, and then they nominate somebody. So there's always 3 people up now for like elimination, so it kind of raises the stakes. It was weird at first. I actually really liked it. So if you kind of didn't like it at first, hang in there, because there's actually some really cool-ass tattoos that are done in there.
Well, but they got to find ways to stay innovative. I mean, there's only so many ways you can do the same repeat on season, so that sounds interesting.
As far as what I've been playing, I've actually been playing Judgment. I finished... Excuse me. My lungs are so weak. I finished all the Yakuza games. I'm actually playing Judgment. I really kind of didn't care for it at first because it's different than Yakuza. Like, the gameplay is the same, but you're playing as like a detective, and maybe it just took a little bit to get into this like seedy underworld that is like what Yakuza is. But I'm actually loving this game now. I'm tracking down a serial killer. He's called the mole because he like gouges out people's eyes so that way they're blind and kills them. So I actually really like it. I feel like it's a blend of Yakuza and it's a blend of like the Batman games because you use like a detective mode where you're trying to like follow a blood trail or look at someone's wallet and you got to flip over the card to realize, oh, okay, there's an address on here. I'm going to go investigate there. So it's got a lot of really cool stuff like that. And I have been jumping back into Warzone, of course, for Season 5. And for anyone in the future that's interested, I'm looking into switching over so that way I could stream a little bit more if it's easier for me onto YouTube for the gaming. And I'm not just doing it because Tim the Tatman and every other big streamer's doing it either.
I gotta hop on that chain while it's hot.
But what are you doing?
So what I've been up to is I wanted to bring this up because I've been watching What If again, the Marvel show on Disney Plus, because Gino and I brought it up a couple weeks ago.
I haven't checked it out at all.
Okay, I was curious. I was gonna ask you that too because the first episode we talked about, it's not bad. It just was kind of weak. It was the Agent Carter episode turning into Captain Carter, but
I did see that, and it's just like a palette swap that I was like, oh, that seems uninteresting.
Yeah, there was really nothing that like was crazy different outside of it swapping, but the next episode was T'Challa being Star-Lord, which was fantastic.
I heard that one was really good.
It was dope, dude. And then the second one is what happens if Nick Fury couldn't form the original Avengers? Like, what happens with that? So that's a whole different timeline. And then the third one, which I believe is that it's the only one that's out now, is the what if Doctor Strange were to lose his heart instead of his hands? So all of these episodes are, in my mind, 10 times better than the Captain Carter episode. And I was having a conversation with, like, Casey, and I wish they would have approached this how, like, HBO Max and, like, Amazon does, where start with 3 episodes and then do week by week. Because there's so many people that, when they started watching
turned off by the show, I'm
Captain
sure.
Carter, they saw it and they're like, this is cool, but it's not for me. And they're not going to get that boost of the next 3 episodes, which are infinitely better. So if you guys were on the fence about it and you didn't like the first episode like I did and Gino did it, watch the next 3 because they're all way better. They all have like cool little twists. So it's really good and I can't wait for you to check it out.
I'll say that you kind of turned me onto it now because that's specifically why I didn't watch it, because I kind of read a review and then I just went and Wikipedia'd it because I'm like, okay, like that review was bad. It sounds boring. Let me just see if there's anything cool with this story. And it just wasn't. And so I'm like, okay, you know, it's just a palette swap. If that's all they're going to be. And I heard the other ones are like cool and good, but anybody could say, not that he doesn't deserve it, but I thought maybe it was just, all right, we're hyping up Chadwick Boseman because he's, he has since passed away, which, I mean, by all rights, he's usually amazing in everything that he does. But I'm like, all right, if it's just overhyped, whatever, I really don't want to watch the show. I could like care less for it. I'll wait for the one zombie episode that
one looks sweet.
That kind of pulled me in, and then I'll go from there. So
yeah,
I'll definitely check it out now.
And hearing Chadwick Boseman's voice again, you know, one last time, because this is the last time he was able to, I believe, do a performance, is this one, was really, really good to hear. And dude, the Doctor Strange episode, when you get to it, it's hands down the darkest episode. And the way it ends, I can't wait to talk to somebody about it because it ends extremely, in a dark matter. So if you guys are waiting to check it out, go do that. As far as what I've been playing, I didn't really play much over the weekend, so I'm still playing Psychonauts 2. And I've gotten a little bit further. This is, again, the game from Double Fine that I've been playing on the Game Pass. And at first, I wasn't, like, too fond of it. It was kind of like this game where I'm like, okay, I get that I have to go to these mines and do all these things, but the further you go and the more it opens up, the more you get to explore, the more you get to collect, the more people you get to bump into. The game is just a lot more fun. And I'm glad you like it. Yeah, writing on the wall is a lot of people are saying this is Game of the Year buzz right now. There's a few friends that I know that have played and beat it that they've written on like their reviews and Facebooks and stuff that this game is the Game of the Year for them, hands down. And I haven't quite got that feeling from it yet. It is really good. I'm sure it'll probably make my top 5 when Andrew and I do it at the end of the year, but it's really good. So as soon as you start playing it, I'm curious what your thoughts are going to be on it.
That's actually going to be my next game after Judgment.
Nice.
And for anyone watching, sorry too that I kind of have a little bit of a cough. I assure you I'm not still sick, but my lungs are kind of like damaged, so breathing or like drinking a lot kind of gets me a little bit going.
He's damaged goods over here, so hopefully I'm safe over here. But that is what we've been up to, guys. So leave down in the comments below what you've been up to, what you've been playing, what you've been watching. If there's anything you want us to check out, we'd be more than happy to do so. So moving into our main story, Dead Space Remake just had a developer live stream, and that lasted roughly about 40 minutes. And what it did is it had Philippe Dusaume, who's the senior producer, and Roman Campos Oriola who's the creative director from Motive Studios, who's actually in charge of doing this whole project. And you can tell that these two guys, because I was kind of iffy starting it out. 40 minutes is a lot of time to sit down and see what they got to show. But once you sit down with these guys, you can just tell that these guys like ooze passion for this thing. Like every time these guys were talking about it, it was a smile from ear to ear. I do want to point out that they said that the engine they're going to be using is going to be Frostbite. So when we talk about this, that's kind of going to be what the compare and contrast is going to be from the previous game they had. But there's going to be a couple different points Andrew and I got to touch on of what they talked about. But Andrew, in general, how did you like the overall presentation? And was 40 minutes too much? Was it just enough? How did you like how everyone was there? Because the other two people that joined on in about the 4-minute mark was Jackie Butler and Khalif Adams. They were two community, podcasters of the fan community. So they were jumped on and they were kind of hosting the interview. So overall, what was your taste for it?
I actually really liked it a lot. I really liked a lot of the things that they showed. I didn't really think that they were going to show, because they said, it's an early build. We're not going to show huge sections, but this completely sold me on this game, because I was actually really worried, because the team that's working on this has only done Battlefront 2 and then Star Wars Squadrons, which both have nothing to do with Dead Space. So the way they talked about it completely has me believing like that they truly like love and care about this series. The only thing I kind of didn't care for is the community members kind of like back and forth, because obviously they have questions or whatever. I would have preferred just the two guys talking and then maybe just like a black screen with a question written, and then more like, here, hey, this is what we're doing, whatever, we're answering these community questions. But instead of going back and forth with somebody, because I felt like that added maybe like an extra like 10-15 minutes too long. So I think it could have been a little tightened up, but that's just my personal opinion. Overall, though, I really liked it. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm with you. I think overall it was good. It was really nice what they were able to talk about, and we'll touch on that in a second. I think even if, I like Andrew's point, if you were going to keep a black screen with a question they could read, that easily would have kept it faster. If you are going to do a host, why was there two? You know what I mean? One of them could have done that job. I don't know why you would split it into a two-man job when literally it was just ask questions and get an answer. Did you take away anything different? Like, she could have done it herself, and we probably could have shaved off 10 minutes with that.
I think that's kind of what bugged me too a little bit, is not just the fact there's two, but two people with shaky to reliable internet, because the one dude, Khalif's stuff kept like lagging, or sometimes someone would say something and then you're waiting like 5 minutes, not literally, but too long for the other person to react. It's almost like when they switch to like a live anchor on the news, they're like, back to you, John.
Right, you are, Ken.
Yeah, we're out here. Right, you are, Ken. And I was just like, that added up over time. I'm like, that's so annoying.
Yeah. So with that being said, guys, there are a couple things we just want to talk about that they touched on. So I want to start with the biggest one that they kind of showcased a lot on, which was the precision shooting, and they kind of took a good space of time and showed off how the new gunplay was going to work, how hitting certain body parts was going to react, and how certain things were going to, like, if you hit someone in the face, how certain skin's going to tear off. If you're going to be shooting them at the kneecaps versus shooting them in the shin, how, like, body parts are going to be able to snap or stay on. So it looked like the mechanics that they were coming up with were really precise. And as someone who, I never really played the old one, and I know you did, I mean, when you look at that, is that just like mind blowing? And you're like, oh wow, I like the detail they're putting into this thing.
They really showed a lot of love and care for those dynamics and making it feel like when you're hitting, it's having an impact. Actually, I think because first they start off with the classic plasma cutter, but I think what actually impressed me even more is when they're like, okay, we're going to show you something that's not meant to slice and dice the monster and just cut off, limb by limb, which is obviously the easiest way to kill these things. We're going to use the machine gun. And so as they're shooting the thing with the machine gun, that's when you see like the arm taking the hit, but instead of, the arm falling off or whatever, it's just blowing off rounds of skin because it's not strong enough with the impact. And so it's just bone and then still their claw. And wherever they're shooting them, like he said, in the face or whatever, that's when you start to see the more bone exposure because the weapon's not strong enough versus the plasma cutters meant just to chop that limb right off.
Yeah, because they were showing that obviously this is all early build stuff. And they were kind of in like this little gym, I think they kept calling it.
Yeah.
Where they were kind of showing off, running around with different guns and things like that. So that was, I thought, super impressive that they're going to getting into that much detail because they know fans are going to like love that kind of thing. So the fact that they can have this new kind of mechanics to pinpoint when certain things are going to be hitting, exploding, ripping, impact force, I mean, that's a lot of cool cool stuff. Anything else on the guns, precision shooting before we move into the next one?
No, I think it's great what they're doing, because there's nothing worse than kind of playing a game and feeling like your weapon doesn't have weight. Like you shoot something and it doesn't react. That takes me out. I'm like, oh, this is lame.
Yeah, the beauty is that now weapons are going to matter. If you want something that's going to be doing bigger damage in certain areas, it's not just picking up one gun and picking up another one, and the only difference is name. You know what I mean? Each one is going to have its own scale when it comes to doing damage. And one of the questions that I like that Jackie Butler asked was, and I'm paraphrasing, but she goes, this has been about 13 years since the original one. Why now? Why is this the time for you guys to jump back in and give us this remake? And they kind of answered in a way that this is now going to be a new entry point for anybody that hasn't played the games before, like I haven't, and all the fans that have been looking forward to replaying it, like Andrew has. And now we're living in this time with next-gen hardware, so they were kind of pointing out that, this is going to be made to take advantage of the PS5 and the Series X. So the next thing they kind of were showing was the side-by-side stack of what the old 2008 looked like versus the new one.
I really like that.
Just looking at it alone was just, they were showing off the lighting and how the hallway scenes were set up. It looks gorgeous. And they were even kind of pointing out, this is one of the games that do stand the test of time. You can go back and play this on the 360 and it will still play well. It won't look the best as games do now, but this is something that stands strong, and you can go play the old one if that's something you want to do. But when you look at those things side by side, you're like, oh, wow, that's what they can do with this game. This does look so much better. So when you see those side by side as someone that I know has been wanting to replay it, what'd you think?
I thought it looked absolutely stunning. Like, it totally got me. Over the past 2 years, I think there's really only kind of 2 games I think that kind of really got me with that atmosphere. Like, fuck, like, this is it. Like, they're nailing it for this sort of thing. And I would say one was Resident Evil 8. But before that, and I think which was kind of more impressive for the time for me, would have been Alien Isolation. Because when you play that game, the way they have the dynamic lighting, the lights are swinging and there's dust kind of falling down, it's a beautiful game, and you believe that you're on this spaceship with the sound. And that's so close to almost kind of like what Dead Space is doing with the tight corridors, the dim lighting that's flickering and stuff, the mist over the ground and everything. It was almost like that, and it totally brought me back to that feeling. And I loved Alien Isolation because the atmosphere and the love and care they put into that game. So seeing this, totally, as soon as I saw it, I was like, damn, like, that's it. They get it. They get, like, when I'm looking at this, I don't feel like, oh, it's just from corridor A to corridor B is some generic whatever. Like, no, this is like it. This is a scary situation when I'm playing there. I don't know what's going to happen. Like, it's got that sense of believability.
Yeah, and it was just kind of mind-blowing what they're able to do. So, for as infantile as what they're at in terms of the build, like, this looks good. So I'm going to be super impressed when we see how much work and time they actually get to dive into it. Because the other thing they were showing off was, like, what they could do now in the zero gravity, and how they can now travel with, like, the whole 360 movement and the freedom of motion, and how in the old games, moving would be a certain way, and you'd have to kind of stop at certain hallways and then keep going. Where this one, they've kind of, developed a whole system that's going to let you move around and kind of make dark space feel more like dark space. So, all very impressive stuff.
Yeah, I think that was probably, like, one of the more important parts of it. Is not just when they're talking about that, but they were saying, we did it this way in 1, but in 2 and 3 it was better. So it shows that they're taking bits from 2 and 3 to put in here, not just gameplay-wise or mechanic-wise to make it seem more flush with the series, or who knows if they're going to remake 2, 3, whatever they're going to do. But they also talked about this kind of led into, we're not just going to take gameplay mechanics, but we're also going to take lore to make it more feel like a whole. And it might not be some big cutscene or something crazy, but it might be almost Resident Evil-esque, where you're reading a notebook, a diary log, you're reading some scrawling on the wall or something like that to more flesh out this world. And I like the idea now too that they have that post hindsight, hey, we can remake this game, here's what was cool about this, the animated movie, the the little puzzle game, and 3, we're going to take the best of all of that and sprinkle it through here. And I think that is what gets me really excited as well.
It kind of takes the best of all that stuff and puts it into this new remake. Was there anything else on that before we move into the next one?
No, I think one of the next announcements is one of the bigger, better things.
Yeah, and this one had a lot of people happy because they point blank asked, is there going to be any microtransactions like they had in the first one? And so now we have them on record saying that no, not in any way, shape, or form will there be microtransactions. So if they do take a step back from that and fuck up then that's instantly going to be something that I know the fans are going to jump on him because, that is one thing they just said, no, it's not going to happen. As simple as that.
I don't remember it being so bad in 2, but I didn't actually get a chance to play 3 until, like, I don't remember if it was this year or last year, but I do remember going to, like, the system thing and seeing I could build whatever, or I could just completely buy, like, this fucking full-blown OP kit and all this resources and just cruise through whatever, and I was like, well, that's fucking lame, like, that
So yeah, so it's cool that they don't have that, but then moving into one of the final things that I think they were super excited about. I mean, I was all right with it. Is the voice acting? Is that they actually brought back Gunnar Wright is going to be voicing Isaac, and they seem super stoked on it. They did a little cut to it, which kind of fucked up a little bit. You kind of miss his whole intro, but I guess Isaac now is going to be fully voiced by him. But they did have a couple of rules that they were going to stick to, which were what, Andrew?
The rule number 1 was that Isaac is only going to speak when spoken to, and rule number 2 is that he's only going to speak in a situation where it makes sense. As in, like, it would be awkward if he was just randomly silent for something
like
that just happened. Yeah, so for those of you who haven't played the original game, in the original game, you're actually a silent protagonist the whole game. And I didn't really think it was weird, but now in hindsight, it definitely is. Because in 2 and 3, you're fully fleshed out. He's talking, he's this guy. I think in 1, they were going more for, okay, I'm supposed to be this guy, so I'm just going to be kind of cruising, whatever, so that way you're in whatever. So I think it would make a lot more sense, and I thought that's what was great about it, is I don't want them to overdo it, kind of like Tomb Raider. Every time you're in a fight, she has to say something. But it makes sense for Isaac, in the very first time you run into these crazy monsters, for him to be like, holy shit, like, what the fuck was that? Versus just sitting there quietly, or even still when you're having someone's talking to you pretty much most of the time. They're giving you the orders.
Your
like,
cousin is talking to you.
Hey, head down to the, back end of the rockets. The gravity's messed up. See what you can do to fix it. Isaac's an engineer, so it makes sense for him to be able to be a part of that conversation. Like, oh, it might be the plasmatron thruster. I'll go down there and try and fix whatever, or come up with his own ideas of what they can do to fix the ship to get the hell out of here.
Yeah, so I mean, the way I guess I wasn't overexcited about it is I just assumed that was going to be something that they did, and why would you not flesh this character out and give him a voice? I think it's cool that they brought back the original guy. They kind of said that they never had plans to do it without him, so that's kind of cool. I don't know if I've never really heard it, so I don't know if Isaac has like an iconic voice by any means.
It does,
because he's no Master Chief.
Yeah, it's not Master Chief, but I mean, if you're really into horror and you play it, like if it was something else, I don't think it would sound right to me, because since I've played these games, because I've beaten 2 multiple times and 1 multiple times. Going through and playing it again, if the voice wasn't right, it probably would like ruin it for me. I'd be like, damn, this is like so off. It's so weird that I am really hyped that they're bringing him back. I love when they do stuff like that.
Nice. So there's one more thing that I wanted to ask you, because there's a lot of people who, as much as they're as fun as they are that there is going to be a remake of this game coming, there is a lot of people mad that EA is doing this because EA closed down Visceral, which was the original studio to do this. So I just wanted to read off a couple comments
R.I.P. Visceral
that I saw, and just to see if what your thoughts were on them. So this was from The Law, and he says, EA resurrecting something it murdered just to shoot it in the head again. The game is a real necromorph, all right. Slackalot says, we heard you like Dead Space, so we destroyed the original developers' careers and we're reselling their game to you over a decade later. And the last one, there's a couple more, but the one I wanted to read off was from Ravi Pathak that says, let's be real here. EA didn't make Dead Space remake because they care about the series. They just saw Capcom making bank on recent Resident Evil games and wanted a piece of that. So do you think there's any... obviously EA's putting this out and Visceral is no longer attached to it, but is there a grudge to be held, or do you think that's... again, it is a decade in the past. Would it stop someone that played the originals like you from getting it, mad at EA? And should it stop anybody that, that's new to this game for supporting EA? Because EA is one of the biggest developers that a lot of people hate on right now. And this, if you buy this game, that's still you supporting them.
I think, especially after seeing this, I think some of that's like a little premature to be like, oh, we're going to bring it back just to shoot it in the head again. They did originally ruin that game, because with 2 and 3, what they ended up doing, especially with 3, was cramming in a shit ton of microtransactions. But not only that, the game had some crazy over-the-top bloated budget where they were trying to make it be like what Call of Duty is, with this craziness and over the top and all this marketing and stuff. So that way the money to make back is this unrealistic goal. So even if the game sold 3 million, it didn't sell 7 million. So they're going to turn around and call it a failure. So it is on them. And I think it's very important to not forget that, but I can also wait to give this a chance because Capcom went in the wrong direction. People were saying they were murdering Resident Evil, especially with Resident Evil 5, Resident Evil 6, which I don't like Resident Evil 6. Like, there's bits and pieces that I can choose to do, but then they came back with the 2 remake, the 3 remake, which is exactly, I mean, when they were like, oh, well, now's the right time for whatever, blah, blah, blah. I was like, bullshit. Resident Evil 2, 3 remake 2, 3 remake just came out, and they fucking killed it. That's why you're remaking this game. I'm excited to get another chance at it, that I'm not going to hold a grudge. I will at least play it first and reserve my decision. I'm not going to go into this saying, well, you fucked up the original, so I'm already going to start with a bias. I'm going to see what this team, they have a brand new team on this. Regardless of how you feel about them shuttering Visceral, there's still people that
they're fans. You can tell these guys are fans.
Yeah, there's these people from Squadron that are putting their heart and soul into this game, and I think it's only fair to give them a chance.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think it's both sides. I think that this team does deserve the chance to shine, and we can see what they can do. But I mean, I think it's fair to look at that Capcom is making these awesome remakes. We're living in a time of great remakes, and the horror genre is hot right now. Resident Evil's coming back. The Medium was out, which did well, and it's about to go to the PS5 soon. So, and Andrew's been telling me to play Dead Space forever, and as much as, I like going back and playing certain games, it's like, I don't want to go back and play 360 games when there's new games to play. So the fact that Dead Space is coming as a remake for the Xbox Series X is now, I'm like, okay, now's my time to play it, and I don't think I'm gonna let something that happened back in the day stop me from playing it. But again, don't let that sway you. If you hold a grudge, that's up to you to hold that grudge. So I don't know. I just kind of wanted to point that out because when I was kind of sipping through the comments, there were and there's a lot more worse ones than these that I decided to pick out. But a lot of people do have hate for it, and they're just hoping that they don't fuck this up or just use it as an instant cash grab.
I think those comments, and I would have agreed with them, would have been fair before I watched this. But after watching this, again, my mind has changed. Like, I believe that they're putting their heart and soul. I kind of felt that they already were going to, because in the first trailer, it wasn't just a trailer for me.
Teaser.
When they played that little teaser, it was more the fact that they had that creepy twinkle, twinkle little star playing in the background, which is what they did with the original Dead Space commercial. And I remember posting that on Facebook, and it always shows up in my memories all the time of me like hyping this game up before it came out. So I have very fond memories of it. But that original trailer with that twinkle, twinkle little star going on is one of my all-time favorite video game trailers.
Nice. So that is the end of our main story, which was the Dead Space live stream. Again, this game is set to come out in early 2022. So if you guys watched it, leave your comments down below. Let us know what you think. And let us know if you're going to play it. Let us know if you're going to pass on it. But I think right now, me and you can both agree that it's something we're looking forward to.
Well, I think that right now, especially since I've been gone first, I would like to riff first, if you want to rip it up.
Oh, bro! Hey, we are getting on time, so let's kind of cruise through these bad boys. What do you got?
So my first one, just cruise through. IGN posted some information about the new Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City. Of course, that movie comes out November 24th. They had kind of like an interview with the team, and it almost kind of seemed like the guy gets it. But they posted pictures as well, and I think the pictures are very unflattering. It just looks kind of like cheap cosplay, even though the characters are wearing kind of the right outfit, which is weird because some of them they're dressed like the guy, but Wesker's not wearing his iconic glasses unless he's just taking them off for that scene or something like that. But then again, I guess it really wouldn't make sense for him to be wearing glasses at night. Either way, I'm not going to nitpick it. I'm going to wait till the movie comes out and see it, because I've seen screens of other movies that I'm like, oh, that kind of looks like shit. Then when the movie comes out, it looks way better. But for right now, these pictures are hot garbage.
Yeah, those pictures were pretty tough to look at. And I mean, again, I'll reserve judgment for the trailer, because when I saw Titans pictures come out, Titans look like dog shit too.
The trailer looked a lot. That's exactly what I thought of was Titans.
Yeah, and Titans ended, is now, it's not doing fantastic, but it's one of my
that Red Hood.
I love that. I love the new season. But I do want to give shout outs to Robbie Amell as Chris Redfield. I think that's a really good cast. Neil McDonough's in it. Donald Logue's in it. I believe that's how he says his last name. What I can't wrap my head around is Avian Jogia playing Leon Kennedy. Like, I mean, I get that we don't have to make actors look like what they should from the video game. And if he's the best actor for the job, great. But, I'm sure you could have found someone that's just as good that looked at... The reason I'm a little upset about it is because you already have so many Resident Evil projects going on where Leon looks a certain way. So it's almost like now you're going to throw another thing out there and you're going to mess up people's mind. This guy's got like a
beard when he's a rookie. Yeah.
Because we already have the... what was the animated show we just watched? Like the 4-part... Definitive Evil or whatever that was called. Like Leon looks a certain way, so the fact that you're gonna make a new
Darkness,
show, Infinite Darkness, the fact that you're gonna make a show and now completely change them while you already have something running, I've never gotten that. That's always confused me. So,
Your first riff?
So my riff, guys, is that Horizon Forbidden West, the sequel to Horizon Zero Dawn, which is developed by Guerrilla Games, did have a release date come out, which is pushed back from later this year, which was when it was supposed to come out.
Mandrew was right.
Yeah, to February 18th, 2022. But what's kind of getting people upset is that they're not letting you pay for the upgrade, and they're not giving you a free patch from the PS4 to the PS5. So I'm going to read this article that kind of sums this up, and this is from The Verge, and this says it goes like this. Sony has shown a willingness to offer upgrade pass with some of its other titles. The company allows players to pay to upgrade from the PS4 to the PS5 version of Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut, and from the PS4 version of Death Stranding to the PS5 exclusive Death Stranding Director's Cut. Sony has also released free patches optimizing PS4 games for PS5, like it did with God of War and just last week Horizon Zero Dawn. But in the case of Horizon Forbidden West, there's no option for a cross-gen upgrade at all. Sony's asking you to pay at least $20 extra up front to be able to eventually play the game on a system you may not even have yet. So that's kind of the gist of it. And what it's just really pointing out is that it's odd that Sony's already giving you different offers if you have the PS4 version of certain games to either get a free upgrade or pay for it. And the fact that this new one, the biggest, one of the biggest games they're going to have that was supposed to come out earlier this year, they're not giving anybody the chance to do that without literally paying for the PS5 version separate, or a bundle. And I know this is pissing a lot of people off, but what do you think, Andrew? Was that something that was bound to happen once we get closer to these games that deserve like a next-gen price?
No, I think it's kind of a scumbag move because they could literally put out the game and then, okay, I bought it on the PS4 for $60. Let me pay $10 to upgrade to the PS5, like what Microsoft would do. Let me pay whatever, to get it going. But no, it's outright. If I bought that version at $60 and then I get a PS5, I'm going to have to pay $80, $70 now again just to get that same game that I already own. And the reason I more have a stronger stance on it being a scumbag move is, one, because you never even know when you're going to get these consoles. They just dropped a report today saying that this chip shortage may continue on until September of next year because of COVID. So how are you going to tell people, hey, buy this game at an extended price so you can play it on the PS5 too? But whenever you get a PS5, it may be a year from now. It may even be 2 years from now. I think that is entirely anti-consumer, and they need to be a little bit more understanding. If the market was flooded with PS5s or something right now, then I'd be a little bit more in the middle. Be like, oh, that sucks, but if you want a PS5, go out and buy the PS5 now. Don't wait until whatever. But you cannot get these things unless you're paying a scalper.
Yeah, and so I just want to point out some of the bundles and the editions that it's going to have here. So it's going to either be the $79.99 Digital Deluxe Edition that's going to let you get it, or the $199.99 Collector's Edition.
Fuck that.
Or the $259 Regala Edition. So by contrast, where the standard edition is just $59.99 on the PS4 and the $69.99 version on the PS5. So if you even, it's just super odd because they've been playing like so nice, especially in the article points out that just earlier in the week, they did a free upgrade for for Zero Dawn. So it's like, why are you going to get people hyped on this and then just kind of piss them off?
Pull the rug out, yeah.
I get that certain games are going to be moving in this direction. I mean, it's they don't want to keep doing this because eventually that just won't sustain. They want people to start getting PS5s and buying them, or buy the actual copy. But like Andrew's saying, there's not a lot of PS5s out there. So I don't know if this is the game to start with. I get that it's going to be the popular game and it will force people to make the decision, but it's like, why start with this one? You know, you should have been easing that in, because this is the game that you, obviously, like they keep saying, we want this in as many hands as possible. I mean, the fact that they're actually going to make you pay $20 for the Switch, I mean, I can see where it rubs people the wrong way, especially when they can't play a PS5.
A thought kind of just hit me and occurred to me too. I wonder if that's going to hurt sales, because how many people have a PS4? Like, I only want the base version of this game. I don't care for the extra shit. I'll just wait until a year from now, 2 years from now, when I finally get my PS5. So I wonder if that's even going to hurt, like, initial sales. Like, okay, I'm not going to buy this right now because I'm stuck with a PS4. I can't get a PS5.
I would say, yeah, because even my buddy on Michael that's in our Last Call Facebook group.
Join it.
Yeah, he wrote and he's like, hey, I just got a PS5. Now I can finally start playing all the games I literally didn't go out of my way to play on the PS4 to play here. So if you've got a lot of people that are on the, you know, the backbone of their PS4 that are going to go, okay, well, next year when PS5s are out, that's when I'll play it. You know, who's even really going to buy the PS4 copy now, except for those that are just kind of dedicated to that system. So I don't know. I think it is a weird move. I did see it coming, but I don't know if this is the game you start with, especially in a game that's coming in February.
I'll say I wouldn't have expected it from a major publisher like Sony or Microsoft. That's something I would expect from like Activision, EA, Take-Two, you know, some other developer is who I would, okay, whatever, you know, they're a developer. They're not this huge fucking entity like Sony or Microsoft, so maybe I got a little bit more leeway, but I'll still call them a scumbag.
Especially when, you know, they just got a lot of good grades. They have their showcase coming next week, so maybe they'll kind of pull like what Microsoft did and kind of backtrack some.
I think that they will.
That they, you know, that they know fans didn't like. It'd be cool if that's what they did. If they took a page out of Microsoft's book and said, hey, you know, we launched something. We know nobody likes this. On our next showcase, when we have a chance to talk to everybody on an open platform, we're going to correct the situation. If they do that, then to me, that's, you know, that's style points. If they don't, then I think that game, I mean, obviously it'll sell well. I just don't think it's going to sell as well, because I think they're going to lose the PS4 buy, because who wants to buy that game twice?
If anything, I think God of War would be the better choice for, if you're going to die on this hill for a game, God of War would be the better choice than Horizon.
Yeah, so leave us down in the comments below, guys, your thoughts on that situation, because it is getting a lot of heat right now. So, Andrew, what is your second riff?
My second and final riff is Ed Boon tweeted the other day, Mortal Kombat Legends Battle for the Realms just came out here on the 31st. That is the sequel to the first Mortal Kombat animated movie, which if you have HBO Now, you can go and watch.
Dope.
Me and Craig loved it. Mortal Kombat Scorpion's Revenge. Definitely check it out. The new one just dropped. I haven't watched it yet, so I can't give you my opinion. But what's more important about the tweet is he just said that Injustice, the animated movie, comes out October 19th. And that's more
my birthday.
That's more what I'm really, really excited for. One, because Injustice is a sick story, but two, I never, you know, they kind of made a comic, but I don't really think it's not like this huge flush series. I think it's cool that DC is recognizing, or DC Warner Brothers, whoever it is, I'm sure it's got to be a collaboration of both, is recognizing, hey, you know what, this video game developer took our property and actually really did make a cool ass fucking story. Let's make a movie out of it that's in this animated movie universe or whatever. And Injustice is a great, great story. I think it's fantastic. It's one of my favorites. I think that they really kind of changed the game with DC, because you finally get to see that what if Superman was evil, or not evil, but he's on the wrong side of what is good. So I'm super hyped for it. There is kind of like a little bit of a trailer out for it, and I think they even have a behind the scenes. I don't know if you watched it. I sent it to you like 2 weeks ago.
You can find it on a channel called The DC Life on YouTube. It's about 8 minutes long. They do a behind the scenes sneak peek at it that shows kind of like early drawings, early interpretation, some of the writers and stuff like that, and their debate on it. Watch it. If I remember, I'll leave a link in the description. But it's a good 8 minutes, and yeah, I can just echo Andrew's comments that it's a fantastic thing to explore, and it just seems like it kind of came quick. I mean,
that movie
I felt like
they just announced it. Yeah.
It's here, and I'm like, so I'm definitely looking forward to that. So my final riff, guys, is that Nintendo Switch Online has been going on for about, I think it's going on its third year in September, like 18th, I think is the day. September 18th, it'll go on its third anniversary, and there's rumors going on right now that the Switch Online is going to add Game Boy and Game Boy Color games. So,
sick move.
Yeah, this comes from Game Rant, and I'll just read a quick little passage from it, and it says, On the latest episode of Nate the Hates podcast, the well-known insider Nate Drake says there is a rumor of Nintendo Switch Online adding both Game Boy and Game Boy Color games to the free retro games currently available. This information comes from the infamous datamine from back in 2019. The Nintendo Switch datamine revealed that several unused emulators are currently living inside the Switch's online code. One of these, nicknamed Hiyoko in the code, may be for Game Boy and Game Boy Color games. So if that's something they're going to do, I think that's awesome. I think it can't cost them that much to be adding these things. And I think Nintendo Online needs to do everything it can to still be relevant while anyone's even paying for it, because no one's paying this thing to be playing Mario Kart Online, as much as they used to be doing. And if you can give them that added, it's cool that they do Nintendo and it's cool that they do Super Nintendo, but I mean, if you can throw the Game Boy games on there, it just makes sense, because for all intents and purposes, the Nintendo Switch is the modern day Game Boy. And if you could start throwing some of those games to hype up, like, because we have Pokemon like Gold and stuff eventually coming, if
Link's
you can
Awakening,
throw the originals on there, I mean, I don't see any harm. And if the rumor is true, then September 18th should be the day, or at least around the day that it should launch, because again, that was the anniversary. So that's literally going to be in 2 weeks. So we'll kind of have our answer, but overall, I think it's a really cool concept, and I would love to see more. And I'm curious what they're going to start with.
Again, I'm of a dual side to this. One, I'm the sucker who's hyped for this. I'm like, damn, that's cool, so I can go back and kind of play whatever. But I can look at it from the other perspective that this is way past due. That should have been something that launched with the fucking console, with the Nintendo games, with the Super Nintendo games, or at least a year after. Going on 3 years now, it's like, come on. If Microsoft can get OG Xbox games and 360 games running on all their shit, there's no reason that you couldn't have done that, especially when you have other people who are selling emulators that you're suing every other day. I was going to say,
the thing in the code is probably somebody else's that they just overlaid. They don't have it.
That's what I was going to guarantee you, is that these are going to be ROMs running on this thing that they're suing other people for fucking selling because they don't want to put it anywhere.
Hey, classic Nintendo. So, that is the end of our
Why make a dime when you can make a dollar?
Hey, this guy knows how to make a dollar. So that is the end of this, guys. Leave us down in the comments your thoughts on everything we covered. Kind of a lot to kind of go over, so take your time, leave something that we can really dive into. So we're going to move into questions of the week. So the first question comes from Tamsden Sawyer, and they write, what is the absolutely worst game you have ever played? Andrew and I kind of went back and forth on this. I just want to say, and I don't want to give the cliche answer, but I'm old enough to remember me and my brother having a Nintendo and playing E.T. So when I read your question, I take it at base value. Worst game you've ever played? In my mind, it has to be something along the lines of like E.T. or Superman 64.
Or like Jaws.
Me and Gino would play it and like not know what this game was. So for me, that's kind of where I'm going to land, even though it is kind of the universal answer. I think Andrew's kind of taking it more either recently or just rubs you the wrong way.
If you want something recent, classic. You have to go with an unplayable game. That's the only reason to really be like, this is the fucking worst game ever. If you want worst game ever as in, fuck, I can't stand this, like, I don't even know why I'm playing it, but I gotta beat it for whatever, maybe something a little bit more modern for me, I say it all the time, is Kingdom Hearts 3. Actually,
bullshit.
I really didn't like it. I only played it and finished. I would have dropped it. I only did it for the show. And I feel like it made me retroactively hate Kingdom Hearts 1, which I had very fond memories of, and I didn't play 2, so I can't hate it. So for me, that's what it'd be. Do you have anything maybe a little more modern that don't hate, but you're like, dude, this is a fucking slot. Like, I just really don't like this, but maybe you only played it for the show?
Yeah, I actually, well, not for the show. I was looking for more games to play on my Switch, like, at nighttime, and I was always looking for, like, a new Harvest Moon, and the one that I ended up finding was, oh god, it's right here. Harvest Moon, Light of Hope. And this game just, not that it sucks, it just reminds me of like a mobile version of the game. I was like, my fond memories of it are like on the PlayStation, on the Super Nintendo, on the 64, like good Harvest Moon. This is more like you got to run around doing like these quests. It doesn't really focus on like the farm. After I ended up looking it up, it got a lot of bad reviews. When I went back to GameStop to try to trade it in, they don't even take it.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so it's like a game that I'm like stuck with that I can either try to give to somebody. So, I mean, in terms of something that like let me down and was the worst game of a series that I had high hopes for, that one easily took the cake because Switch was like the platform I want to play Harvest Moons, and I got stuck with the stinker.
I'm say with you saying like, oh, I played it, it was a great series, but this new one just fucking sucks. That totally reminded me, not the last one, I don't know what the other entry would have been, but everyone's together, would have been like Mario Party, where everybody's fucking together. They completely defeated the purpose of having like a board. I really dislike that game because instead of everyone going their separate ways and causing chaos and havoc on the board,
and rock like Amadeus,
and rocking you like Amadeus, everyone's just sitting together like. You're all just moving together, and then you just do the same whatever games, and the games weren't even like that good. I remember one of the other ones, because they're pushing the move controls, is like you're fucking shaking a soda can, and whose soda pops the highest. Yeah. Like, dude, this sucks.
This game sucks. So we are getting pressed for time, guys. So Paige Pagoda, you had a question. I'm actually going to save it for our next episode, because what I do want to say before we sign off is that we were going to bring up the Xbox Series giveaway that Andrew and I were going to set up, but this is literally like the first day Andrew and I have been able to see each other and sit down and talk about it. So this episode isn't going to have all the details, but early next week, Andrew and I are going to upload a video that's going to have all the details for the giveaway. So make sure you guys hit your notifications and make sure you keep an eye out for that, because that will list all the fixins for getting that bad boy.
Yeah, so make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you got those notifications on. Like you said, we'll drop a video like we did with our past ones. Nice little short thing with all the rules and everything. And then the contest will officially start next Friday. Will be your first entry.
Ooh, so guys, that is the end of episode 104. Glad you guys have been with us. I'm glad Andrew's back. So guys, until next time, my name is Craig Prowlis, and that is Mandrew Montemayor. Cheers.
Thank you. You know what? I don't know if it's really a bad game. Maybe I was just too young when it came out to like really kind of understand how to play it. And I know for sure that I didn't beat it. Is Glover.
Glover?
Yeah, did you ever play that on the N64?
Why does that sound familiar?
You play as like, I don't remember what happens. I don't know if you're like a magician's glove that gets taken off and there's an evil glove or something like that. But you start off in like this fucking super like dark area, and there's like different worlds I think that you can go to, and he plays pretty much a glove.
Like with eyes, like anthropomorphic glove that walks?
No.
Or like a floating like glove?
No, it's a glove that walks like that, or you can like bounce a ball like that and like kind of throw it around or whatever, but you walk around, I think like that, not like Thing from Adam's Family, but like that, and the eyes are like the two slits. It's almost like Mickey Mouse gloves.
I gotta look it up.
And anyways, you have a ball.
What did you say it was called? Glover?
Yeah. You have a ball
that gives me Donald Glover.
Which is Glover 64. Yeah. You have a ball that you can turn into different things. So
he looks like the Pillsbury Doughboy.
Yeah, you can make that ball, like sometimes you gotta hit a switch. You can make it like heavy like a stone. But there's another one where you can make it heavy like glass, and if you try to bounce it like the basketball or like shoot it or throw it, it breaks and your dude fucking cries and it ends.
You don't remember liking it?
I don't remember it being good, and I don't remember beating it. I don't know if it was just too hard or if I was just too young to get it.
Yeah, I don't think I ever had I remember seeing it. I remember like, I think we had it at Game Exchange too, so I remember like seeing it, but I don't think me and Gino ever owned.
What's the Metacritic for Glover? Can you pull that up?
Let's see. It's not going to be right here, is it? Let's see.
I don't remember it.
What would you guess it to be at?
Like a 64 to match the system it's on.
Glover.
Maybe it's too old for Metacritic.
Can you just type in Glover?
And say if Ocarina of Time's on there, Glover's got to be on there.
Glover iOS. Why the fuck's this like I said? Oh, this is
Donald Glover again.
Give me games, baby. Give me games. Golden Glover.
I think it's called Glover 64. I think you have to type in the actual.
Shouldn't it just have? Oh, there we go. N64. No results found.
Maybe it's just not even rated. It's that bad of a fucking game.
Yeah, I don't see nothing. Page isn't working. Yeah, I don't know if I've ever played that one, man. But you know what? Now I want to go actively go look for it, buy it, and then see if we can play it. Well, I have a retro Pi that's got like everything on it, so we should plug it in one day and give it a go.
I think maybe I was just too young for the puzzles, but I also don't remember it being good because I know like at 1.2, so like there's like a quarry filled with water. You're supposed to use the bouncy ball and you put it in the water, and then like you roll over to a certain spot, and then I think you change it into the heavy ball. It's like a like
heavy ball,
like a boulder, and it like sinks down onto like a switch or something. I don't remember, dude. The whole game was just...
Well, it's got for like on Google, for people that liked it, it's got a 95%, so...
I thought maybe it was a good game, and I just didn't get it as a kid.
1998. It says it was on PlayStation as well, but I
Really?
do remember, it says N64, PlayStation, and Microsoft Windows, but I remember the N64 cover.
I thought it was an N64 exclusive. I never knew it was
Maybe
on
later on
anything
they
else.
like ported it or something.
Maybe that's the kind of game we need for like a modern remake as Glover.
The game we need, and we need it now.